Hello there, and welcome once again to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Meyers. We're here every week, meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues. And today we welcome back a previous guest.
Yes, Kris Steele, the Executive Director of TEEM, is going to join us today. He's been on two other times in different capacities, but we're going to learn about TEEM today.
He's always doing something worth discussing. Kris Steele, today's guest on The Verdict, and we will return after this.
Right now, 6 feet can feel like a long ways away. But from 6 feet, we can still smile at each other. From our doorways and our stairways, from opposite sides of the street and opposite sides of the country. Through fear and frustrations, we can remind each other that we are still here for each other. Because we can still smile at each other. And we're not going anywhere.
Military service ran in my blood, starting from my father, which joined the Navy, on the Chickasaw side, my uncle, which served in the United States Army. I'm Benjamin Espinosa, Chief Petty Officer, United States Navy, and I'm Chickasaw. I went to the Secretary of Defense's staff at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., which ultimately led to becoming a combat support technician for Naval Special Warfare, specifically Steele-TEEM 10. I think to be proud and to love your tribe, to love being Chickasaw, you also have to love being American. You also have to love everything that America stands for. Equality, perseverance, professionalism, and power. I want my family to know that their father is a good person, but also feels that he has an obligation to the country and to love this nation. Anything worth having is worth dying for. The military and the country owes me nothing. I owe it everything.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofanation.com.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Meyers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
We're really pleased that Kris Steele could join us again, making his third appearance on this show, this time as Executive Director of TEEM, T-E-E-M, the Education and Employment Ministry is the acronym for that. Kris is an Oklahoman by birth and has grown up here. He served the state of Oklahoma in a representative capacity in the House of Representatives for 12 years, 2 years of which he served Speaker of the House in the top position. He is a trained Baptist minister and has engaged in that ministry for a long time. And a while back, he decided he was going to see what TEEM was about, and they wanted to see what he was about, so he joined as Executive Director. Kris, really glad to have you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to get to be with you today.
Kris, much of your post-legislative work has revolved around criminal justice reform. You have a passion for that, don't you? Why do you think that is?
I do. I am interested in the issue of reforming our criminal legal space because I think that we can do better when we understand the significance and take effective approaches to address root problems behind behaviors, things that might can help people reach their full potential in life. And I also think that there's an element of redemption and reconciliation that's very, very important within Oklahoma to make sure that we don't give up on one another and that we provide those second chances.
Tell our audience about TEEM for those who are unfamiliar with it.
Sure. TEEM is a nonprofit organization here in the Oklahoma City community. It stands for the Education and Employment Ministry, and we exist to break cycles of incarceration and poverty. And we seek to do that through education, personal development, and work readiness training. So we are focused on helping people get back on track, find gainful employment, and ultimately reach their full potential in life.
What is your geographic influence? Are you just in Oklahoma County, or do you spread wider?
Our net is cast a little wider than just Oklahoma County. We're now in Oklahoma and Pottawatomie County. And we do some work at Lexington, at Joseph Harp Correctional Center, and at Lexington Assessment and Reception Center.
Now, is TEAM a concept that was original with the founders here in Oklahoma, or is this part of a national organization?
It's local. So the TEAM, our organization, was actually founded in 1987 by a Methodist minister whose name was Doc Benson. And Doc believed strongly that it is important. He abided by the old adage, it's better to teach a person how to fish than just to give them a fish. And so Doc had this vision of if we could connect individuals with gainful employment skills and the right opportunities, they could become self-sufficient, and that would be better for our entire community. And over the course of time, we have applied those principles to a population that is often excluded and not allowed to participate because of a past mistake. And so we've focused in on individuals primarily who are impacted by the criminal legal space.
How does that play out? Give us a kind of a gauge on your impact. What are you most proud of right now, and what can you tell people about TEAM's impact?
Oh goodness, I would just tell you every day is...
This is just a 30-minute show.
Yeah, I got you. Every day is a day that I learn more and that I think I'm more inspired. I would say without reservation, for the people that we get to work with, rarely have I seen that kind of resilience, that kind of determination, that kind of gratitude, and that kind of perseverance. The reality is people who are involved in our criminal legal space are often no different than any of the rest of us. They got caught in a situation, they got caught up in a situation, but they're still human beings, and they're human beings who want to be contributing members of society. And one of the things that I'm most proud about is the fact that we get to be a part of that redemption process, that redemptive aspect in a person's life when we're able to come alongside them and help them overcome a troubled past or a mistake somewhere along the way and get back on track and move forward in life. It's good for their families, it's good for our community, it's good for our businesses, it's good for Oklahoma.
This means you're inside the prisons, right?
Oh yes, sir.
Yes.
So our service model on the reentry side of things looks like this. We get to start working with men and women historically about 9 months prior to their release, prior to their scheduled time to return to our communities, and we teach a series of cognitive behavior classes that focus on healthy relationships, effective communication, conflict resolution. We teach financial literacy, we build resumes, we teach effective interview techniques, we create transition plans and reentry plans, and we track down birth certificates and IDs and whatever else may be needed. We start the process of making sure that we know where the person's going to be living and that it's a healthy environment. And then we start looking at employment opportunities and connecting individuals with appropriate job opportunities so that they can move forward in a really healthy way.
So you used the word release. I guess that's release for any reason. They've completely served their term, or they are paroled, or otherwise somehow released on a hardship basis.
Yes, sir. So when we say release, that means for all intent and purposes that the person has paid their debt and served their time and is now reentering our community. And it's not only that we get to start working with these individuals on the reentry side prior to their release, we stay with them for about 12 months post-release, just to make sure that they have everything that they need to be successful and to reestablish a foundation that they're going to be able to build on.
We can assume that this is being helpful. Do you track it? Do you have any statistics that prove it?
We do.
Yeah.
And the results are phenomenal, as you might expect. We all need a little help every now and again, and we all do better with accountability and support. And so our recidivism rates are less than half of what the state's recidivism rate would be. So that means that more people are doing just fine. So we have a recidivism rate of about 8% compared to the state's recidivism rate of about 23% over the course of 3 years. So we believe in what we're doing. We believe in the folks that we get to serve, and we're excited about reclaiming that talent and those gifts, the value of the individuals in our state for the greater good.
How does TEAM work with the folks that handle the incarceration side to determine who might be likely candidates for TEAM? Or how do you get your members, in other words? How do you get the folks that you serve? Sure.
Well, I would just say right up front that the Department of Corrections is the reason we're able to do what we do. They are a tremendous partner. I think the men and women who work for the department are incredibly dedicated and vested in the work that they do, and their mission aligns with our mission in wanting to make sure that people have great opportunities and that people don't come back and continue to recycle in and out of the incarceral system. So we work with the Department of Corrections to identify the men and women who could most benefit from our service model. Men and women primarily who are going to be remaining in the Oklahoma City area so that we can do that follow through. We're looking at men and women who would match and be interested in the job partnerships that we have available through TEAM so that we can match people with a job that they're going to want to do, and with individuals who are really serious about taking responsibility for themselves and moving forward in a productive manner.
We got to get to a break. Tell us what's going to come up in the next segment. I know there's a couple of things you really want to make sure we get to in this show.
You bet. We're going to be talking about our pretrial release initiative and our scholarship initiative at Mabel Bassett Correctional Center.
All right, Kris Steele is with TEAM. He's the former Speaker of the House of the state of Oklahoma. We'll be right back.
At Whitten Burridge, we're litigators. That's all we do. All of our clients, some sort of wrong has occurred to them. We try to right that wrong. Corporate America, they have all the power. It's sort of like going against an army. I like helping the underdog. That's what gets me up out of bed every day.
Our success rate is phenomenal, but that's not all they get. We care about people.
I'm very proud of what we've been able to do for our clients, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to do in the future. There's still a lot of wrongs that need to be righted.
OU Law has a history and heritage that are unparalleled. At the University of Oklahoma College of Law, we empower our students to pursue the career of their dreams. We have the highest U.S. News ranking ever achieved by an Oklahoma law school. We are the first law school in the country to launch a college-wide digital initiative. And this year, our competition teams ranked #2 in the nation. OU Law, generations of excellence, limitless possibilities.
One of the best kept secrets about the post 9/11 GI Bill benefit is that it can be used at a trade school or a technical school, and it doesn't have to be used at a university or college. These are benefits that the veterans have earned through their service, and they should take advantage of it.
Veterans really need to understand that there are many resources offered by the Oklahoma Department of Veteran Affairs. They are there to help you find the right school for you, the school that will help you and your family make great steps into your future.
New year, safer you. Get your safety on. This year, let's all make it home safe. Make Oklahoma safe.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick, Cornett, Meyers, and our guest Kris Steele. Kris, tell us about the pretrial release program.
Sure. So the organization that I get to work with, TEEM, started a pretrial release initiative for individuals who may be detained at the Oklahoma County Detention Center, the Oklahoma County Jail, in 2017. And what happened at that particular point in time is that the average jail population for Oklahoma County then stood around 2,634. Problem is the maximum occupancy for the jail is 1,200. And so we were way out of bounds in the population, certainly for the size of the facility. And the Vera Institute came in at the invitation of some of our city leaders to do a study on what was happening. And what they found is that the majority of people in the Oklahoma County Detention Center had not been found guilty of any crime, had not been found guilty. They had been arrested, they had been charged, and they were awaiting trial, but they were there primarily because they could not afford to pay their bond. And so what the study also revealed is that the vast majority of those individuals were being held on misdemeanors, minor offenses that did not pose a danger to public safety, but just rather, in essence, created a debtor's prison. And so we worked with the county to create an initiative that would allow us to secure the release of those individuals that fall into that category and work with the judicial system to say, hey, we will help place these individuals in stable living environments. We'll help find them a job. We'll connect them with treatment. We'll make sure that they're compliant with any conditions that the judge or the district attorney may want to place on the individual. And we'll make sure that they show up to court. We'll go with them. And so we've been doing that, and last year I think we served over 1,000 individuals. We secured the release of 1,000 individuals from the Oklahoma County Jail, and people are showing up to their court dates. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and in most of the cases the judge and the district attorneys are saying, hey, if you keep doing what you're doing now, we're not going to pursue any charges. And so it's been very, very, very successful, and we're excited to get to be a part of that.
Well, this release is released without the necessity of having to post a bond.
That's correct. So they would be out on what's called a conditional bond or an OR bond, which is their own recognizance. And so what that means is that the court is trusting that they're going to be compliant with the directives of the court, that they're going to follow the conditions or the parameters that the court puts in place. And I'm telling you that in our time of doing this initiative, I think our recidivism rate is less than 3%.
Wow.
And our failure to appear rate is very low, and people are rising to the occasion. When an individual who is in need is connected with the appropriate services that they need, they tend to do just fine and do really well. And I would also say that our jail population, not just because of the work that TEEM's doing in our pretrial release space, but because of the great work that's taken place throughout the county, I think our detention population right now is just over 1,200. I mean, it's reduced by over 1,000 per day in the last 4 or 5 years, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, it is.
Is TEEM the only, well, first of all you're working with is Oklahoma County.
Correct.
Are there similar, we broadcast in Tulsa as well, are there similar programs in Tulsa?
There are similar programs in Tulsa, not exactly the same, but similar. Tulsa's doing some very innovative and creative things in relation to criminal legal reform and really helping people and trying to connect people and divert people away from the criminal legal space, particularly if they have a mental health challenge or a substance abuse issue that can be better treated and better dealt with through appropriate services. Tulsa's doing some really innovative work.
And you're working on some things at Mabel Bassett.
We are. So about 2 years ago.
Mabel Bassett, tell our viewers what
You
what
bet.
that is.
So Mabel Bassett Correctional Center is our state's largest prison for women. It's a correctional center for females in the state of Oklahoma.
Female equivalent to McAllister?
That would be correct.
Okay,
it's a
go
female.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go
no,
ahead.
no, you're asking the right question. There are about 1,200 individuals who currently reside at Mabel Bassett. Dr. Susan Sharp from the University of Oklahoma did some phenomenal research about 10 years ago that indicated that if a woman is able to take just 6 hours of college classes while incarcerated, that individual tends to have a 0 recidivism rate. That doesn't come back into the legal system. And so we wanted to test that theory, and about 2 years ago we partnered with the Sarkees Foundation to create some additional scholarship opportunities for the women who reside at Mabel Bassett. And today we have 48 women who are receiving scholarship to attend college while they're incarcerated at Rose State, at UCO, at Southwestern, and anyway, it's just going incredibly well. Every Thursday night we have study groups at Mabel Bassett. We bring in traditional students from universities all around, and we create study buddies. And last semester, these 48 women had a collective GPA of 3.6.
Oh my goodness.
They're just incredible. And they've created a community of support for one another. It's changing the trajectory of their future. It's improving the educational outcomes within their own family units. When they're talking to their children now, they're talking about their homework assignments and the things that they're learning and the value of education and what it can mean to a person's future. And we're just really excited and pleased with this initiative. And I might also add, next week, the University of Oklahoma will be teaching the Oklahoma Scholars Leadership Enrichment Program. It's an advocacy course that is comprised of students from OU and Langston University, but they're going to be teaching the course inside Mabel Bassett with the traditional students and some of the scholarship students from the Mabel Bassett initiative, scholarship initiative. And I just couldn't be more happy and thankful for what's taken place, the transformation that's taken place inside Mabel Bassett. And I would be remiss if I didn't give credit where credit's due. There is a warden there whose name is Tamika White, Warden White, and she is all about making sure that there are positive and productive programs in place to ensure that a person has the resources and the opportunities that they need to be successful. So kudos to the leadership within Mabel Bassett for allowing these programs to take place.
Let me ask you, is there some minimal prior education required to be selected to participate in that?
There is. So a person would have to be able to pass the college entrance exam in order to participate in any of the courses. But when I tell you that it's a community of support, the women at Mabel Bassett have stepped up and said if a person is really wanting to apply for the scholarship and to participate in furthering their education, and if they're lacking because they may have dropped out of high school or they may not have the foundation that they need to be successful, they're taking that upon themselves to help get them ready. They're creating study groups organically inside the facility to say, hey, I can help you get where you need to be in your math classes or in your English classes or in your history classes, and they just refuse to let each other fail. It's just remarkable.
We don't have a lot of time left, but I'm interested in knowing the impact on the inmate's family by successful participation in the Mabel Bassett program. I suppose a lot of the people that you serve in that program have children outside, spouses. Do you keep track of that after they have been released?
We have started doing that, and I would tell you, to your point, Kent, you're exactly right. I think the last set of data that I reviewed would indicate that about 84% of all the women who are incarcerated in Oklahoma are mothers. I think the stats would tell us that about 72% have a child the age of 16 or younger. And so we have started really paying attention to the value of education and the impact of preparing to reenter society on the family unit and how that's affecting the families. And so far it's been very, very positive. What we're seeing has been very positive.
He is Kris Steele, the former Speaker of the House of the state of Oklahoma, who's been working on criminal justice reform ever since. Kris, thanks for your work and thanks for your service to the people of Oklahoma.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to see you guys.
Kent and I'll be back with the final word after this.
This This is the epidemic of my generation. This is my HIV. This is my Black Plague.
In the midst of one of our state's largest crises,
Oklahomans are dying from this preventable and treatable disease on a daily basis.
we believe there's hope.
That little pill will cause destruction through your whole life.
Watch the entire award-winning 9-part docuseries Killing Pain, made available by Fighting Addiction Through Education at killingpain.com.
It used to be okay in hospitals. It used to be okay in movie theaters. It was okay in classrooms, restaurants, and airplanes. But thanks to a greater understanding of the dangers, that's not okay anymore. So now that we know secondhand smoke causes lifelong health problems, why is it still okay to smoke with children in the car? Bottom line, it's not okay. Let's get serious about protecting kids. Join the fight at stopswithme.com.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
You have children coming from a different lifestyle, different mindset. You have to open your arms and really do what you have to do to have that child become a part of your family. And if it's more patience, that's what you do. Kids gotta know they can trust you. And that's what we've tried to do with these kids.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
We are back on the set of The Verdict, wrapping up the show with Kris Steele, who's doing so much work in criminal justice reform and helping people get back on their feet.
Kris is very energetic, enthusiastic, and every place he goes and everything he does, I think we're all better off for. And we're grateful he'd give us some time today.
Great to see our universities getting involved in this too, and the education of people who are incarcerated. A couple of websites to tell you about. TEEM.org, TEEM.org. That's where you can get more information on Kris and his organization. We have a website, theverdict.tv, and we'll see you next week.